In this video, I'm going to begin summarizing the quest lore in Westfall. So if you're like me and you skipped reading the quest while leveling your character, and you didn't pay attention to anything that was going on per the story, then let's jump in and find out what you missed in World of Warcraft. When you enter Westfall, you speak with Lieutenant Horatio Lane. When you present the deed that you found in the Elwyn Forest, he says that you don't need to be getting involved with what's going on around here, and says that the Furl Bros have been squatting on the Jansen steed for about 5 years. He also mentions that what you're looking at here is a murder scene, and you notice Farmer Furl Bro and his wife dead on the ground. Horatio says that we've got a double homicide, and also that Westfall is filled with a bunch of homeless people. So if you want to help, go ask the bums in the area if they saw anything happen. So you head out and speak with the homeless, and one of them likes to walk around while you talk, but okay. Anyways, he says that if you want some information, you're gonna have to pay up. So if you don't pay up, he ends up fighting you and you kill him, and then a bunch of kids rush in to loot his body. But when you start paying some money, the homeless start giving you a bunch of clues. One of them says that he didn't see who killed them, but he heard it. You also speak with a bunch of other people, and everyone has their own little version of their own story. From here, you head out and return to the crime scene, and relay the messages that you learned to Horatio, telling him that the bums say that the Gnolls and the Murlocs killed these two people. But he doesn't really believe it, because the murder is way too clean and way too perfect. But you know what isn't clean and perfect? This shirt. This is a Horde shirt because I was filming the other episode. Let me go ahead and change this. Hold on. Okay. This is better. Where were we? Oh yeah, Horatio. So he says that whoever murdered them had a particular reason to do it. But since we really don't have any other leads, Horatio wants you to track down the Riverpaw Gnolls for clues, as well as the Murlocs on the coast, even though he thinks it's completely pointless. So you head out and arrive at the Gnoll camp, killing them until you find a clue. Then you head out to the coast, and when you get there, you kill Murlocs until you find another clue. Then you head all the way back to the crime scene. And once you get there, you hand Horatio a piece of red cloth from the Gnoll area. He asks if this is a joke because it's just a piece of red cloth. And as for the Murlocs, well, he says that he has a stack of whatever you found, which is like a piece of soaked paper or something like that. So basically, you're back to square one. Horatio wants you to speak with someone named Two-Shoed Lou, who happens to be this old confidential informant of his. He might know some stuff about the murder. Lou can be located west of here at the Furl Bros' old pumpkin farm. So now you head out and make your way over to that area. Once you arrive, you run up to Two-Shoed Lou, who seems a bit on edge, like he's trying to hide from Horatio or something. But he says that he owes Horatio a favor or two and hands you a really large crate, saying that this used to be his home. Yes, the man lived in a crate. But since he struck it rich, he doesn't need it anymore because he says that he's living, verbatim, this is what he says, he's living the life of every hobo's dream. So he wants you to take the crate to the Jangalode mine to the southwest of here. And once you reach the back of the mine, you're to hide in the crate. I can only assume that you're gonna be eavesdropping on somebody. Now you run up to Jib Candles McHannigan, which is an awesome name. And he says that before the kobolds gave him a permanent limp, he used to be William Pestil's #1 candle supplier. Remember William Pestil? He's the guy back in Goldshire in the inn. Anyway, this guy tells you how he used to bash kobolds' heads in, but now he's all messed up. So he wants you to kill 12 of them when you head out to the mine. I'm guessing that this is some kind of revenge quest. So now you head out to the Jangalode mine. And when you get there, you kill 12 of the kobolds and make your way to the very back of the mine. Once you're there, you hide in the crate and witness a meeting between Glubtalk and a shadowy figure, which the figure insults Glubtalk, making him mad, but then he's given two choices. One, he can attempt to kill the shadowy figure, or two, he can join her and she'll make him very rich and very powerful. So, he's not that dumb. And with the way that things are going, he goes with option 2. Now you head out of the mine and make your way back to the pumpkin farm. Once you get there, you speak with Jim, and he's super happy that you killed the kobolds, rewarding you with some stuff that he picked up when he was killing kobolds himself. Now, when you speak with Lou and start telling him about what happened in the back of the mine, he puts his hands over his ears and tells you he doesn't want to hear anything about it, because according to him, that kind of information is liable to get you killed around here. But he says that he's got one more piece of advice and then we're done. He mentions that some thugs showed up, and they're hanging out behind the old farmhouse here. But basically, they were talking about something that might interest you. So you should really go see what's up with them. Also, inside of the house here, you speak with Mama Celeste, and she says that times are really tough here in Westfall, stating that sometimes the people here will go weeks without a decent meal, but she's making dirt pies. Dirt pies. Definitely my favorite. And yeah, she needs some ingredients to make these, and one of them is, well, dirt. And you can get that dirt outside in the pumpkin patch. She also needs some coyote tails from those that are wandering around outside in the area. So when you're out and about, collect 6 of the tails and 5 handfuls of fresh dirt. Now you head behind the farmhouse. And when you get there, you eavesdrop on the thugs, who starts talking about someone who gave them some gold about the Furlbros job. And a couple of the thugs ask if anyone saw this person's face. But then they notice you, and they engage in combat, because for them, it's the only way to deal with eavesdroppers. After you kill them, you hear a scream coming from the front of the house. When you get back there, you find the investigators asking questions to a bunch of people, while Lou's body is found on the ground dead with 2 gunshot wounds in his chest and his shoes on his head. Why his shoes are on his head, I really don't know. When you speak with Horatio, he says that this was done as a message, and that whoever did this just killed the richest bum in Westfall in broad daylight. But then he starts to put together all of the clues that you have so far. The red cloth that you found, the water-soaked letter from the Murlocs, the secret conversation in the mine, the thugs behind the farmhouse, and comes to the conclusion that things just really aren't adding up. So he wants you to head to Saldine's farm, which is located to the south of here, and ask the people down there what they may know. Before you head out, you run up to Mama Celeste, and she says that with the ingredients that you brought back, they're gonna eat like kings tonight, with their Westfall mud pies. From here, you head out, and make your way to Saldine's farm. Once you get there, you speak with Farmer Saldine, and when he finds out that Horatio sent you here, he tells you that Horatio is a scumbag, and says that he really doesn't often give out advice, but the advice that he gives you is get out of Westfall, and that you're already way over your head, because all that you're doing now is putting your head through the chopping block. But he says that times are tough, mentioning something about the Scourge and how much money was spent on that war in Northrend. Basically, anybody who didn't have a military contract became jobless and homeless after the events with the Lich King. And so this is why we have so many homeless people here in Westfall. He says that this farmhouse is basically a halfway house, and his wife Salma does all that she can to keep the guests alive. But it really doesn't help when you've got the Watchers in the fields, and they like to kill people. A lot. So he wouldn't mind if you went out and shut down 10 of them. Now you run up to Salma, and she says she wants to prepare her famous Westfall stew, which requires 6 okra, 6 stringy flesh ripper meat, and 6 Gortusk flanks. So if you wouldn't mind getting those for her, that would be really helpful. So now you head out, kill the Gortusk and flesh rippers for their meat, as well as pick the okra from the ground. Then you kill the Harvest Watchers, and upon killing them, you find a mechanical heart, which appears to be fully functional based off the sound that it's making. And there's a really good chance that Farmer Saldine would like to see this. Now you head back and speak directly with Salma. She thanks you for bringing back the ingredients and says that these orphans here haven't had a hot meal in days. Now you speak with Farmer Saldine. He thanks you for killing the Watchers and gives you whatever coin he has as a reward. As far as the heart that you found, he says that he's heard stories about using one of those to power up a Watcher for personal use, but says that he's in no shape to do something like that himself. He also mentions that there's some harvest golems to the west of here at the Molson farm, and you can find them by looking for the ones with arcs of electricity around them. If you drop the heart into one of those, then you can take control of it. But when you do that, he wants you to kill 25 energized Harvest Reapers, because those machines are worse than the ones that you just killed recently. But before you go, Farmer Saldine says that he's really thankful for everything that you've done so far. And although he can't really offer you any assistance with the Furlbros case, he thinks that his wife Salma might have something that she can tell you. So you run back inside to speak with Salma. She says that her little girl works at Sentinel Hill, specifically with the homeless, and that maybe you'll find more information over there. Surprisingly, this leaves you at a cliffhanger, as completing this quest finishes the first chapter in the Westfall storyline. You start off by speaking with Salma, and she mentions that about 4 years ago, a little girl came to their house and collapsed at their front door, and she had no recollection of who she was. But the farmers adopted her and named her Hope, because that's what she represented. Now she's a young woman working at Sentinel Hill, and Salma here wants you to bring her some Westfall stew. From here, you get going. But before you go to Sentinel Hill, you make your way towards the Molson farm, and when you arrive, you take control of one of the golems by using the mechanical heart, and kill 25 of the golems in the field. Once that's done, you head back to Saldine's farm, and when you get there, you speak with Saldine himself. He's happy that you cleaned out a good amount of the golems, and hopes that what you've done will solve the harvest golem problem that's currently here in Westfall. Now, you head out to Sentinel Hill. And when you get there, you run up to Hope and hand her the Westfall stew, which she's really excited about because it's something from her mom. Now, Hope talks about how the people here have lost their sense of, well, hope. And she wants you to take the stew and feed 20 homeless people in the area. Now you run out of the tower and speak with Marshal Stoutmantle. To sum up what he says, Westfall is crap. The people out here are basically squatting on abandoned houses. But the bigger problem is that they're under attack by gnolls. And he wants you to find out who's pulling the strings by recovering their attack orders. Captain DANUVIN says that the soldiers here were once known as the People's Militia, but now they fight under the Stormwind banner. And their goals were to clean up Westfall after the Defias made such a mess. And they also wanted to expand the reach of the Alliance to maintain order. So far, they're failing at all of that. Now they're in trouble because the gnolls are becoming a bigger problem every single day. So the captain here wants you to kill 12 Riverpaw gnolls that are attacking Sentinel Hill. Now you speak with Scout Gallian, and he mentions something about a ghost captain who haunts the Westfall lighthouse way out to the far west. And of course he wants you to go there and investigate it. Why? I really don't know. Maybe he's just wanting to find something to talk about. Now you get moving and kill the gnolls in the area along with finding the attack orders. Here's the thing about those though, when you read them in your bag, it says that the gnolls are to sack Sentinel Hill and free the Admiral. At the end, it's signed by someone named Helix. After all that, you feed the homeless with the Westfall stew. Once that's done, you head west to the lighthouse. When you get there, you speak with the ghost of Captain Grayson. And he says that yes, there was a time when he was alive, but that was before the Murlocs attacked. Having said that, he mentions the multiple shipwrecks on the shore, and says that the coast needs to be kept clear, so that if sailors find their ways to the beaches, that they can be kept safe. But the Murlocs are a problem. So he wants you to kill 7 Murloc Tidehunters and 7 Murloc Oracles. The captain also says that the night that the Lighthouse Keeper's family died was horrible. The attack was led by Old Murk-Eye. But apart from the Murlocs attacking the lighthouse on a consistent basis, there's another problem. And that problem is keeping the light on in the lighthouse so that ships don't crash into the coast. And this responsibility has fallen on to Captain Grayson. But he needs chasm ooze from the raging chasm to the northeast. So you need to head up there and gather 5 chasm oozes. As for the Murloc leader, Old Murk-Eye, he's the one who killed the Lighthouse family. Captain Grayson wants you to take him out and bring him back one of his scales. So now you head out. Kill Old Murk-Eye for his scale. Then you kill the Murlocs in the area. Upon killing one of them, you find a treasure map from someone named Captain Sanders. and it leads you to multiple areas on and around the beach until you get to the treasure. Fun quest, but nothing really important. Then you head over to the Raging Chasm and kill the slimes for their chasm oozes. After that, you head back to Captain Grayson at the lighthouse and hand him the oozes so he can light the fire. He thanks you and says that this will help others not die a similar death to his. As for the Murlocs, he also thanks you for that and says that the beach should be a lot safer since you cleaned them all out. Now you start heading all the way back to Sentinel Hill, and when you arrive, you speak with Marshal Stoutmantle, and he's really surprised about hearing the name Helix from the attack orders, but he's really confused about who this admiral is. This is when he goes over and asks the captured Worgen about some information. Unfortunately, he doesn't really help out at all. Captain DANUVIN says that killing the gnolls gave them all a temporary relief, which is nice to have. But Captain DANUVIN also says that the gnolls have established their capital in a place called the Dust Plains, and their leader named Django Spothide is located over there. So he wants you to go over to the Dust Plains and kill their leader, along with 5 Riverpaw Mystics and 5 Riverpaw Taskmasters. Now you run up to Hope, and she comments that you have a very kind heart for feeding the homeless around here. After that quest is completed, you run back up to Marshal Stoutmantle. He says that Helix's full name is Helix Gearbreaker, and he came into the Alliance territory about 2 weeks ago. SI7, specifically Matthias Shaw, sent Stoutmantle a letter stating that he, Matthias, sent an agent by the name of Kiernan to Westfall in order to shadow Helix. She's hanging around the MORTWAKE'S tower southeast of here in the Dust Plains. So if you find her, you find Helix. Now, you make your way over to the Dust Plains. And when you get there, you kill the gnolls in the area, as well as their leader, Django Spothide. Then you make your way over to Agent Kiernan. After you tell her that Helix is the one that's responsible for the gnolls attacking, she says that he's in the tower over there, and she's been waiting for an excuse to bust him. Even though Helix is held up in Clavin Mortwake's tower, it's pretty heavily guarded, but she says that she'll cover you with her handy sniper rifle named Claire. Kiernan also gives you something called a shrouding potion, so you can use it inside, which will make you invisible. Now you run over to the tower, and Kiernan takes out the guards with her rifle. Then once you're inside, you use the potion and become invisible and head upstairs. That's when you begin to eavesdrop on Helix and the shadowy figure. Helix mentions that the gnolls have failed, but the shadowy figure says that they're gonna free the Admiral during the dawning. But she wants to speak with Helix's people one last time before this so-called dawning. And specifically, she wants to do it in Moonbrook, which is located out to the west. So now you leave the tower and report back with Agent Kiernan. And she's pretty concerned about what's happening in Moonbrook, but she says that she'll be heading back to SI7 to report, and tells you that you should speak about all of this with Marshal Stoutmantle. So now you head all the way back to Sentinel Hill. And when you get there, you speak with Captain DANUVIN, and he says that your attack on the gnolls will take the Rippaw a long time to recover. When speaking with Marshal Stoutmantle, he worries about who the shadowy figure is, and says that you really need to go to Moonbrook. Specifically, he wants you to report to Captain ALPERT, located at the camp to the north of the city. Also, he wants you to meet up with someone named Thoralius, which we'll cover in the next episode. He's a shaman that Stoutmantle met up in Northrend, but he thinks he can help find out who the shadowy figure is. Now you leave Sentinel Hill and make your way to the camp located outside of Moonbrook. Once you get there, you speak with Captain ALPERT, and he says that something's up with the homeless around here, because they've quadrupled in numbers, and he thinks that they're planning something. There's been a lot of violence in the area, and a group of thugs came around handing out pamphlets to a lot of people, trying to get them all riled up. So Captain ALPERT wants you to go into Moonbrook and find any pamphlets, leaflets, or anything that can give you some information. So now you leave the camp and go into Moonbrook and find a whole bunch of different propaganda. When you read some of it, you notice that it's signed by the letter V. Now, upon killing one of the thugs, he drops a bandana, and the bandana is made out of the same material that you found off the gnolls at the murder scene at the beginning of Westfall. So it would be wise to collect more of these bandanas so you can give them to Captain ALPERT. From here, you kill more thugs to get more of the bandanas, and then you head back to camp to speak with the captain. He says that the only V that he knows of is Van Cleef. If you need a little history, Van Cleef was the leader of the Defias Brotherhood back in Classic, but he's been dead for quite a while now. And as for the red bandanas, well, this was a symbol of the Defias Brotherhood. So Captain Alpert is wondering if this shadowy figure is trying to reform the Brotherhood itself. But now, that rally that the shadowy figure wanted to do when she was talking with Helix back at the tower, yeah, that's about to happen in Moonbrook. And Captain Alpert wants you to head in there and see what's up. So you go back into town and listen to the rally from the shadowy figure. And she talks about how these people were abandoned, and that the Alliance must be held accountable for all that they've done, which is allowing all the people here to live such horrible lives. From here, you head back into camp and speak with Captain Alpert again. He says that he could hear the rallying screams from the homeless from here, and mentions that we really need to find out who the shadowy figure is. Upon finishing this quest, you complete the second chapter in the Westfall storyline. When you start off, you speak with Captain Alpert. He says that a shaman named Thoralius came here to study the elemental craziness that's really happening around the area. But maybe he can help with finding out who this shadowy figure is. So you run up to him, and he says that he helped the Valguard in Northrend in a similar way, so he might be able to assist you. Now, Thoralius hands you some incense, and it's not the type that just makes the room smell good. No, it's a full-on drug that'll put you in a trance. So it's safe to assume that you're gonna trip out, and most likely be pulled into the spirit world. And once you're in there, he says to let the spirits show you what they know. Also, you need to travel to the DEADMINES located in the old farmhouse. And when you're there, you might be able to find some more information because this area is very significant to Westfall. In fact, that's where you'll use the incense. So now you leave camp and enter the old farmhouse. Once inside, you make your way towards the DEADMINES. And once you get to the entrance, you walk inside and use the incense, which whisks you away into a vision, showing you the past and Van Cleef, who was the leader of the Defias Brotherhood, being defeated. The thing you didn't know, because everyone left after killing Van Cleef, is that he had a daughter, as you can see here when she walks out to see her father beheaded. Now the vision ends, and you make your way back to Sentinel Hill to talk to Marshal Stoutmantle. Once you get there, you tell him that Van Cleef had a daughter. And it's kind of funny because in the quest, he's like, "What? Van Cleef had a daughter?" So Stoutmantle actually feels kind of bad that Van Cleef's daughter had to witness her dad pretty much getting beheaded. And in mid-conversation, Hope walks out of the tower and reveals herself as Van Cleef's daughter. Except her name isn't Hope, it's Vanessa Van Cleef. She then calls upon her men, who come out of the shadows, and she reforms the Brotherhood. She also releases the Admiral, who was the Worgen that was all chained up. And it's revealed that she's the one who committed the murder on the Furl Bros. When asked why, she says that they knew who she was, and she didn't take any pleasure in doing it, but it had to be done to conceal her identity. When this is all said and done, she orders her men to set fire on Sentinel Hill, while the Marshal tells you to get to Stormwind and inform the king about what's happening here. So you head on over to the flight path and catch a griffin all the way to Stormwind. Once you get there, you make your way into the keep and speak with Grand Admiral Jess Tereth. She says that she'll deploy a battalion of soldiers to Westfall right away, because when it comes to the Defias Brotherhood, you just don't want to deal with that again. Admiral Jess also says that you really shouldn't take the Brotherhood lightly, and that you need to head back to Sentinel Hill and inform Marshal Stoutmantle that help is on the way. From here, you make your way all the way back into Westfall and straight to Sentinel Hill. When you get there, you speak with Stoutmantle, who mentions that it took them 5 years to build what they have here and only 5 minutes for the Defias Brotherhood to burn it to the ground. When turning in this quest, you officially complete the third and final chapter of the Westfall storyline. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. Like, what happened to Vanessa Van Cleef? Why didn't we go into the DEADMINES? What's the Defias Brotherhood doing now? Well, when I was gathering this information on stream, the chat and I decided that we'd come up with a plan to explain all of this lore. And the plan is to do dungeon quest videos. And this will sum up the dungeon quests which are inside of the instances themselves, and kind of wrap up the zone that those dungeons are affiliated to. So once we get a good amount of dungeons to do, we'll do a compilation video of each dungeon and talk a little bit about the zones that they're found in. But as far as the quest lore goes for the chapters, we're officially done with Westfall. And that can only mean one thing. We're moving on to this place. Since Wrath Classic has been announced, and in my opinion it's the best expansion ever, we're going to start covering the quest lore up in Northrend. Specifically, we're going to start with Howling Fjord. And the reason why is because I put a poll out on the community tab a while back, and the majority of the people wanted that zone first. So I'm really looking forward to knocking out that content in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and if this is your thing, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, and also make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications. That way, whenever I go live for streaming, which I do every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, or when I post a new video, you'll be informed. And I'll see you next time in Northrend when we find out what happens next in the Tales of Azeroth.